Hello, and welcome to Life After Gray Narcissist Divorce. I'm Paula. If you're a subscriber, welcome back. If you're not and you like this video, please subscribe. The Raging, Aging Narcissist. What exactly happens to the narcissists when they reach their elder years? Do they mellow out? Become more gentle and docile? Generally, no. When my children were much younger, maybe about 20 years ago, I was in the grocery store once in the produce section, and they were in the shopping cart with me, and there was some other mothers there with their kids, and there was an old man, elderly man. I'd say he was about 80 years old, and I don't remember what this other child did. It wasn't my child, but all of a sudden this man, this very grumpy old man goes, "Oh, they should outlaw children in the store. Oh!" And he was just throwing a temper tantrum like a 2-year-old. So he was a very, very, very grumpy old man. Well, let me tell you about these grumpy old men. I knew nothing about narcissists at the time, but I guarantee you that they didn't just suddenly become grumpy old men in their old age. This old man was most likely a bully when he was a kid in school, and he was probably a nasty boss when he was in the working world, and he probably wasn't a very nice husband either. So these nasty, grumpy old men didn't just suddenly become this way when they were old men. They were probably not nice people to begin with, and they just got nastier as they got older. Remember, narcissists are angry, envious people, and they are constantly in need of ego-boosting narcissistic supply. And as they age, and not just narcissist age, but as we age, as we get older, we're not going to be getting as many ego strokes. You know, I know as an aging woman, aging women in society become invisible. And when we're younger women are sex objects and are very sexualized, and the older and older a woman gets, the more and more invisible she becomes. So in society in general, the older a person gets, the less ego strokes they get. Well, this is very, very devastating for a narcissist because they have nothing else to fall back on. So the first obvious thing to go is their looks. Their youth is going. They're getting wrinkles, gray hair, losing their hair, or gaining hair in places they don't want hair. So that is the first way they are losing narcissistic supply. The other thing is the general decline of the body as one ages. So you're getting aches, pains, illnesses, possibly diabetes, bad knees, etc. Although some narcissists will use this physical decline as a new way, or maybe they've always used it, or they can leverage it as a new way to gain narcissistic supply. So then they will use their physical ailments as a way of getting supply through pity. Poor me, woe is me, take care of me. And they can even manufacture illnesses. My ex did this. I believe that that's what he was doing. He was morbidly obese, and sometimes he would go to the hospital. Well, when he went to the emergency room, and he had diabetes, he would go to the emergency room. Well, immediately when someone who weighs 400 pounds goes to the emergency room, everyone is on him. He is a first priority. And he would end up being in the hospital for 4 days and having 1 million tests run on him. And they never found anything wrong. He would be in the heart department and everything, and there was never anything wrong with his heart. His heart was found to be perfectly fine. And he came from a long line family of narcissists and a few sprinklings of codependence in there. And once he went on vacation with a nephew who was a master narcissist, like a bigger narcissist than him. The two of them went on a vacation in Costa Rica. Well, what else do narcissists like to do? They like to ruin something that's supposed to be fun. So he goes on a trip to Costa Rica with his nephew, and the second they stepped off the airplane, his nephew got a mystery illness that no one could explain, and his nephew spent the entire vacation in Costa Rica in a hospital, and no one knew what was wrong with him. So anyway, that was just a little side note of narcissists getting supply from illnesses, and they'll have mystery illnesses that no one can find out what was wrong with them. So the next thing is an aging narcissist will, a lot of times if they're workaholics, they are getting supply off of work, accolades at work. And some of them can be workaholics, and so they're getting supply off of works, because a lot of narcissists can be high up in companies and they're abusing their employees and etc. And maybe they're not abusing their family as much. I mean, they still are possibly abusing their family, but they're not home much to abuse their family, because they get to be at work a lot abusing their employees. And they're bringing in money, etc. So the family is maybe even overlooking the abuse or putting up with the abuse. But all of a sudden, this narcissist retires. So all of a sudden they have all this time on their hands. So now this spouse is stuck with this person, and this narcissist is not getting all the supply that their job was providing them with. So this spouse might end up getting a lot of more abuse than they were previously, or all of a sudden there is going to be a late life divorce because the narcissist retirement. And the other issue could be that now there is a lot less money, and the narcissist will be angry and enraged that they don't have as much money to spend. They might turn more to drinking, gambling, other devices, spending on credit cards, etc. Or if the aging narcissist has money, then that's a different story. So the aging narcissist that has money will have a boy or girl toy, trophy spouse, or plaything that is 20 or 30 years younger than them. And if they have children, it might be much to the embarrassment or chagrin of their adult children, because this new plaything, which is really an object and not a person because they're not equals, you know, their kids are not happy about this at all, generally speaking. So that is another issue with the aging narcissist. But usually this one is not as collapsed because they're still getting their ego strokes because they have the money to supply their ego strokes. So the ones that are a little more angry and having more trouble inside themselves are the ones that don't have money. Now, the ones that have money are still causing a lot of problems for the other people in their family, because the examples of what they could be doing is, even if they're not breaking up their family, they can be manipulating and triangulating their children with their wealth and their inheritance, possible inheritances, or just bribing children or family members with money and playing manipulation mind games with their money, and or playing guilt trips with their health, etc. Susie takes better care of me than John, etc., etc. These are the types of things that elderly narcissists do. But some of them become so nasty that they find themselves without their spouse, and so nasty, maybe they don't have enough money, and they're so nasty that they are unable to attract a new supply, and all their children abandon them, and they become totally alone. Some of them might even wind up in a nursing home with no one visiting them, but they still have people to abuse. And that is the poor, unfortunate nursing staff, because the raging, aging narcissist is angry and raging as a stirred up hornet's nest. So anyway, thank you for stopping by. And if you know a raging, aging narcissist, please leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you.